Hey everyone, Dan with MacRumors, and a happy iPhone launch day to all of you out there. Of course, that means we have the all-new iPhone X in space gray, so let's waste no more time and unbox this guy. So we have a pretty traditional unboxing experience from Apple. It's an all-white box with the iPhone plastered right there on the front. Inside the box, we do get some information guide sitting right there at the very top, and for those of you who picked up the new iPhone X but might not know much about it, this guide might actually be worth taking a quick look at. Aside from the iPhone X itself, you also get a pair of Lightning earpods, which for over $1,000, a pair of AirPods would have been a nice touch, but unfortunately it's just a pair of regular earpods. You also get a Lightning to 3.5mm headphone jack adapter, your Lightning USB charging cable, and power adapter. Nothing crazy or anything out of the ordinary here. Once you boot up your new iPhone, you're going to go through the usual setup process, but there are a couple of differences this time around, and one of those being the addition of Face ID. Now, if you do choose to use Face ID as a way to unlock your phone, you will be prompted to place your face inside of the dedicated circle and rotate your head around in a circular motion. Now, you're going to have to do this a couple of times in order to complete the setup process, but it only takes a few seconds and it's really easy. So most of you out there already know that the iPhone X doesn't have a home button. Instead, in order to operate your phone, you will need to remember a series of gestures to do things like go back to your home screen, access notifications, control center, and recently opened applications. So in order to go home from within an app, a simple swipe up will take you back. If you want to access your recent applications, swipe up as you would to go home, but then pause in the center of the screen and your recent apps will all appear. You also won't be able to swipe up or flick away any of these apps if you want to close them. Instead, you're going to have to long press on one of them and then hit the red minus symbol to close an app. You can also swipe from left to right across the bottom of the phone to switch between apps a bit faster. Personally, I think this will probably be the best way to switch between apps as opposed to the swipe up and pause gesture. Now, if you want to access the control center or notification panel, you will have to do that with a swipe from the top down on the right and left hand side respectively. Since the iPhone is a bit taller, this makes Control Center a bit more difficult to reach with one hand. Thankfully, Apple still included reachability despite the lack of a home button. You will need to enable this in the settings menu first, but once you do, you can swipe down near the bottom of the screen and you will be greeted with a familiar one-hand reachability screen. Now, if you swipe down again from the middle, you can access Control Center in a much easier fashion. My only problem so far is getting reachability to work consistently. It's definitely going to take some getting used to. Now, this gesture thing is going to take a little bit of time to get used to, but I'm pretty confident that after a couple of days, it's just really not going to be an issue anymore. Now, the rest of the OS should seem pretty familiar, and it's also going to be really quick. And that's largely due in part to the new A11 Bionic chip that Apple included in the 8, 8 Plus, and iPhone X. Moving around the operating system, switching between apps, and just in general day-to-day use has never felt better on the new iPhone. I rarely, if ever, noticed any lag or stutters on the iPhone 8 Plus, and I anticipate that being the same with the 10. Now, the phone's internals isn't the only thing that got an upgrade this year, as the iPhone X is pretty much a complete redesign. Let's start with the beautiful 5.8-inch 2436 by 1125 Super Retina OLED display, which is a bit of a mouthful and really just nerd talk for a super nice display. This is the first time Apple has included an OLED display with the new iPhone, and although it might not be as bright or vibrant as, say, a Note 8, it's still super crisp and very sharp. The iPhone X's display is also a True Tone display, which basically allows the iPhone to automatically determine the right amount of intensity and temperature of white your phone's display might need. This will obviously adjust to the lighting situation around you, and although a lot of people really like this feature, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it on or not. Also, aside from the display looking really nice, you're also going to notice that there's, well, a lot more of it. And that's largely due in part to the 2017 fad that is smartphones having a lot less bezel and way more display. Apple took this as far as they could go, which means the entire display except for the notch on the forehead. Some people see this as an ugly design choice from Apple and thinks it hinders everyday use, but honestly, assuming the app is updated to work with the iPhone X's new display, you get over that notch pretty quickly. At least that was the case for me. So you might be asking, well, why the notch on the top of the display? Well, there's a couple of different reasons why Apple included this. Well, the main reason being Apple needed a way to fit a front-facing camera on the phone. And now that there's not a home button, this means that there's also no more fingerprint sensor. Because of this, Apple developed Face ID, which we mentioned earlier. In order for this feature to work properly, Apple needed to include a ton of different sensors that do a pretty incredible job of recognizing your face and making sure that it is you, in fact, that's trying to unlock your phone. So far, early reports are that it works pretty well, and it's seemingly accurate. To unlock your phone, you simply raise the phone up to your face, and wait for the lock to unlock and then swipe up to get in. That's it. It's early for me, but as much as I love Touch ID, I think I could get used to this. Of course, without all of this facial recognition hardware, you wouldn't be able to create Animojis, which matches your facial expressions with the emoji on your phone, and you can create some pretty cool messages to send to your family and friends. So far, I'm a huge fan of the new form factor. It's basically taking an iPhone 8 sized phone and packing in an 8 Plus sized display. The glass backing certainly makes the phone more comfortable on the hand and also allows for a key new feature, wireless charging. Now, of course, this has been around for a long time with other phones, but Apple finally bit the bullet and included it in the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and now the iPhone 10. And I couldn't be happier. Finally, one of the last major updates to the iPhone 10 has to do with the camera. To keep things simple, Apple now included optical image stabilization in both lenses this time, which will help smooth out some of that shaky handheld video recordings that you might want to do. Another main feature of the new camera are the addition of the portrait mode to the front-facing camera and portrait lighting for both the front and back cameras. So far, I'm pretty impressed with the portrait mode on the front-facing camera. I'm also looking forward to messing around with the portrait lighting effects a bit more and getting some of those great studio-style pictures from my iPhone. So what do you guys think of the iPhone 10? Were you able to pre-order one and get one on launch day, or did you camp outside of an Apple store? Let me know in the comments section down below. Also, be sure to keep it locked to the channel and MacRumors.com for extensive iPhone 10 coverage. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.